Saturday, November the 10th, pilgrims, local Christians and Benedictine fathers gathered in Tabgha to commemorate the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves and fishes, performed by Jesus and narrated by the four evangelists. Bridges between the Christians of the Holy Land and Christians all over the world, and so the Conference of the Holy Land Commission is set. They will meet at the 4th International Congress in Jerusalem from November the 26th to December the 2nd. Gathered in Rome during these days for the conference, the members of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem support the institutions of the Catholic Church in the Holy Land. A city that was essentially inhabited by Maronite Christians from Lebanon. Despite the harsh test of the 1948 war, tradition and memory are kept alive. Thousands of pilgrims arrived to the Holy Land this November. In 1911 and 1931, the German Association of the Holy Land carried out excavations at Tabgha, an area close to the Sea of Galilee, finding remains of two Byzantine churches. In 1932, Father Johann Mader, a Benedictine monk, unearthed the ancient mosaics and famous stone of the altar, depicting the loaves and fishes Jesus multiplied to satisfy the crowd. The site is a place of pilgrimage and indicates precisely where this miracle performed by Jesus occurred and was narrated by the four evangelists. On Saturday, November the 10th, the Latin Patriarchal Vicar of Jerusalem and Palestine, Monsignor Giacinto Bulos Marcuzzo, celebrated Holy Mass, attended by hundreds of pilgrims and local Christian faithful, as well as the Benedictines and priests of Tabgha. During the celebration, the Patriarchal Vicar explained how this event can be brought to life today in our lives, in our society, and in our present time.
With examples of today, brothers and sisters.
He mentioned historical facts to be remembered in these days, such as the end of World War I, the fall of the Berlin Wall, recent news like the Synod of Bishops on Youth, and he pointed out how God works miracles to show that He is present among His people.
Life is love and love is life.
Based on the gospel of the multiplication of the loaves, Monsignor Marcuzzo explained that Pope Francis summarizes the meaning of love with three concrete steps. First of all, service, then sharing, and finally, the offering of one's life for others. The Word of God that is always alive, even today. Bridges between the Holy Land and Christians all over the world. This is how the Commissioners of the Holy Land are called, spread over 51 nations for a total of 63 commissariats. A total of 101 friars minor committed to this service.
Commissari Terra Santa, per dirlo in senso largo, potrebbe essere paragonati.
The commissioners of the Holy Land can at large be compared to ambassadors of the Holy Land. They are friars minor that are in charge of promoting the knowledge of the Holy Land, specifically of promoting aid to the custody, leading pilgrimages and accompanying the pilgrims. This is their mission essentially.
I pellegrinaggi qui in Terra Santa e sono questi soprattutto essenzialmente la loro missione.
Friars with a very clear mission, connecting with Franciscan provinces, where the order is present to promote, according to the Church's warrant, the knowledge of this special mission that is the Holy Land.
Quindi svolgono il loro servizio nelle chiese locali.
So they perform their service in local churches, in the parishes, in the various religious institutions to get in contact with the Catholic world, to publicize the Holy Land, and then with the bishops to promote pilgrimages and the Good Friday collection, established by St. Paul VI to help the holy places.
Istituita da Papa San Paolo VI per aiutare i luoghi santi.
The origin of the commissariats is very ancient. They were officially established with Pope Martin V's His Que Bull on the 24th of February 1421, while in more recent times it was Pope Paul VI who stated that the Commissioner's work, so praiseworthy in the past, would seem to still be valid and functional. The commissioners of the Holy Land will gather in Jerusalem from the 26th of November to the 2nd of December in the 4th International Congress with the subject of Pastoral of Pilgrimage, Hospitality, Remembrance, Evangelization. The 4th Congress is dedicated to the Pastoral of Pilgrimages. Particularly, we want to focus and reflect on the evangelistic leverage that the commissioners of the Holy Land have through pilgrimages.
Attraverso i pellegrinaggi. Perché ci siamo ispirati propriamente.
Pope Francis was the one who inspired us when, with his motu proprio, he moved all of the Church's sanctuaries from the Pontifical Council for the Pastoral Care of Migrants and Itinerant People to the one promoting new evangelization. Pope Francis and the various pontiffs viewed the sanctuaries and pilgrimages as a new aeropagus, where the gospel is announced to the people to rediscover the roots of faith. Friar Marcello also wanted to point out the significant number of pilgrims who visit the Holy Land at this time. I have been here for 17 years. At various times I have seen an increase of pilgrims. This year has been extraordinary, a great flow, and this leads us, it motivates us even more to focus on how we can improve in hosting and accompanying them to make this pilgrimage in the Holy Land as an act of evangelization. It is a good thing that Christians from all over the world, but not only Christians, can come here to find the roots of faith, to experience grace in the holy places, to read through geography, that is the fifth gospel. So said the manager of the Commissioners of the Holy Land's Coordination Office. A pontifical institution dedicated to supporting the Church in the Holy Land, whose earliest evidence dates back to the 16th century. Today it has 30,000 members from 40 different countries spread across the 5 continents. These are the numbers of the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, gathered in Rome these days for the Consulta, a 5-year assembly whose theme is the Lieutenant. The Lieutenant has a specific function. He is the person who knows which are the initiatives to take and according to which priorities. He knows how to sensitize the hearts of knights and ladies and knows how to handle difficult situations as they arise. This is the picture outlined by the General Governor of the Order. In the Order of the Holy Sepulchre, there are more than 60 lieutenancies and magistral delegations that financially support the works and institutions of the Catholic Church in the Holy Land. We are committed above all to education, because we believe that education is the best way to create a climate of peace, cohabitation, mutual respect between Christians and Muslims. In addition to Catholic schools, the Knights and Dames also support cultural projects of other Eastern churches. They also finance hospitals and support coordinated interventions from the reunion of aid agencies for the Oriental churches. The service dimension of the population of Holy Land is strong. For this reason, the members are obliged to go on pilgrimage to the land of the fifth gospel to bring moral support to the Christians of this region of the world.
I'm very excited to be here, of course, as a Knight of the Holy Sepulchre. I've come with about 70 pilgrims, and the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre support the work of the Patriarchate, the Latin Patriarchate here in the Holy Land, the support of the Christians who are here in our mother church, the Church of Jerusalem, and the surrounding regions. So I'm very happy to be here today and to be part of that community of 30,000 Knights throughout the world.
Non soltanto per vedere le pietre dei santuari,
not only to see the stones of the sanctuaries or the remains of the biblical testimonies, but to meet the Christian communities with their life, their challenges and sufferings, their daily charity.
Sofferenze, la loro carità quotidiana.
We are in Upper Galilee, 3 kilometers from the border with Lebanon. The small village of Kafr Bar'am was the refuge of the Maronite Christians who arrived mainly from northern Lebanon seeking refuge. They left their country because of the wars, the difficult conditions of life and the persecutions suffered during the Ottoman rule. Initially they were simple workers. Progressively, they bought land and managed to settle in the region. Currently, the locality is part of the National Park of Israel and there are ruins of an ancient synagogue. The lavish structure indicates that a prosperous Jewish community was present in the 4th and 5th centuries. It is also said that both Jews and Jews who converted to Christianity lived in the area. In the mid-20th century, the history of this place has changed its natural course. In 1948, the Arabs who resided here were forced to take refuge in nearby cities, such as Jish or even back into Lebanon. Several families saw their homes destroyed, were separated and made many attempts to return to Kafr Bar'am. Nevertheless, they were never allowed to return. Here are the testimonies of some of those who have closely witnessed this story. I was born in this village known as Kafr Bar'am. I was 21 when we left here. Our village was occupied on October 29, 1948. After the June 1967 war, we were allowed to come back once a year to pray. That's all. We faced challenges coming every Saturday to attend Mass. We hold meetings, have marriage celebrations, despite the serious restrictions, and despite the fact that it is declared a closed military zone. In the midst of the ruins, there are remains of the Maronite village of Kafr Bar'am, with the church that continues to be the spiritual center of this community. The memory of its inhabitants and the Christian traditions are intact. This village has always been a meeting point, a center of prayer, where the faithful come and praise God together, morning and evening. They participate in Mass and religious devotions conducted by priests and monks. As a priest, I want to emphasize once again that the Church is the cornerstone that helps to form and unify Christians, without whom Christianity does not exist. The message of the Church is to see to the conditions of her children's lives, wherever they may be, especially those who live in misery, poverty, and those who suffer injustice and oppression. The message of the Church is to watch over the growth and spread of the faith. Father Salim Susan, a Maronite priest, is also originally from the village and was 5 years old when his family fled. Every Saturday he celebrates Mass here. He says that most of the Maronite priests of Israel are from Kafr Bar'am. On the occasion of his visit to the Holy Land in 2000, St. John Paul II recalled what happened to the Christians of the village, an event which was also commemorated in the Synod of Bishops of the Eastern Church in 2010. I'm really proud to have deep roots in my home village. Historical, social and cultural roots. These roots live inside me. They are part of my being, of my identity. Colors, flags, music. It is the beauty and the diversity of pilgrims present in the Holy Land this November. For several years, since the fall of communism in Poland, the number of pilgrims has increased. This is immediately apparent to the naked eye thanks to the economic situation, but also to the ease of travel which has allowed several pilgrims to come. But for some years now, the increase is incredible.
Sono arrivato qui in Terra Santa 30 anni fa da studente, quindi sono un bel pezzo di tempo. In questi anni all'inizio c'erano pochissimi gruppi che delle volte i primi che ho visto.
I came here from Poland 30 years ago as a student, so I've been here for quite some time. In the beginning there were very few groups. The first ones I saw came with buses from Poland through Turkey, Syria, Jordan and entering into Israel. An incredible thing, it seemed impossible. Then they started coming in planes. Now we have a lot of connections from different Polish cities. Then the many pilgrimage offices that organize the pilgrimages. It has become even easier to find cheap flights and accommodation, and to simply come.
vado alla TV, partecipo, faccio la pubblicità, invitando sempre i pellegrini di venire perché è un unico viaggio nella vita che si può fare.
His Excellency Monsignor Vincente Costa Brazilian, who already knows the Holy Land well, tells us, each time we come here, it's a new experience. We fall more in love with Jesus, and in our prayers we say, here the miracle of Cana happened. Here the Last Supper took place. We are close to the Holy Sepulchre, and here Christ really suffered the Passion. He died and rose again. So it is an immense joy. Thousands are the pilgrims who, from dawn to dusk, walk the streets of the Holy City. This group of priests from the Archdiocese of Rio de Janeiro and the Diocese of Campana is preparing to experience the solemn entry to the Holy Sepulchre. I am with two bishops and the clergy of Rio de Janeiro and Campania in this important moment in the Holy Land, during their spiritual retreat in which they live the experience of encountering the humanity of Christ, with a God who walks, with a God who you can approach, the God who dies and rises again. The moment of entry into the Holy Sepulchre is very important for the priests, because it is the place of the resurrection. It is what they announce in Hezekiah, in the Masses, in the sacraments, every year and every day. It is the first time I come with the clergy of the Diocese of Campania to make this spiritual experience, to relive and have the opportunity to go to the places where Jesus Christ taught us. Certainly a very strong spiritual, mystical experience, not only for me, the Bishop of the Diocese, but also for many of these priests who will certainly return from here spiritually refreshed and ready to commit each time, loving Christ and His Church and always resembling more the heart of Christ, the Good Shepherd.
Uma palavra, responsabilidade.
I have only one word, responsibility, because if on one hand we see the impressive number of people who come here to look for something, on the other hand we see the answer, Jesus Christ. A question and an answer that we, the Church, must unite. This is the responsibility that I bring from this pilgrimage, and even more from the solemn entry.
Da entrada solene.
In glory.